And this is what my last year was
Yeah.
like trying to figure out like why I didn't have like, I felt the exact same way while I had nothing as to
Yeah.
where I have now. I feel the same. Like people were like, man, it was cool when the money hit my account. I felt nothing.
How can someone be so successful in life and feel nothing? It's actually pretty common, but the answer is that this is what happens when you think you live a meaningless life. And so what I want to do is I want to dive into a 2-minute clip from Alex. If you don't know who he is a business genius. But he has a couple mindset struggles that cause a dissonance between him that I think keep a lot of you from your happiness. So let's dive in.
So like I had this thing earlier on where I was like, I want to have meaning. I want to have great meaning in my life. And I was talking to a guy who made a lot more money than me. And he was like, because I asked him, I said, how do you create and destroy meaning in your work? That was the question I asked him on a podcast. And he was like, why do you think life needs to be meaningful?
I mean, the obvious answer to that is there's nothing that naturally occurs in nature that doesn't have a specific design and purpose. And so to think that your life is the exception to the rule, the burden of proof is on you to show why that would be the case.
And it was the same exact thing as the happiness versus like the meaning thing, where it's like, I say life has to be meaningful and therefore everything that I'm doing, like I create this expectation of life. Whereas if life just is, it just is. And it's,
So Alex thinks his options are create meaning in your life or accept that there is none. Now, what we're going to witness is what happens when you start with the wrong foundation, and so you get the wrong conclusion. The obvious third option was that there is a design for your life and you do have purpose.
and it's the only way that you can actually be there. It's just pure acceptance, right? Which is why like the whole like shoulds of like, we should work, we should have balance, we should X. It's like, I believe marriage is a compromise. Like these are just statements of belief that are casting expectations out in the world that are just bound to be untrue at some point.
This is where the argument of relativism falls apart. Because in business, if you follow the wrong strategy, you're not going to get the outcome you want. In life, if you take the wrong actions, you won't feel fulfilled. If you're thirsty, for example, and you have a belief that soda is going to quench your thirst, you will still be thirsty. And so there is a difference between acting on a belief system and acting on evidence and knowledge.
And then create dissonance. And so it's like, I believe marriage is marriage. And I believe my marriage is my marriage. And I believe your marriage is your marriage. And like, I believe that I can work 24 hours a day if I want to. And that is all, period. Not, and it's bad or, and it's good. And there's no judgment on it. It just is.
I think he made a really important point that a lot of religious households don't really pick up on, which is you should not be judging other people. That being said, if your friend is in a house that is on fire, it's your obligation to let them know they are going to burn if they stay there any longer. There is objective bad things that can happen to us, and if you care about people, you should probably share the knowledge that you have.
And so like if I get dopamine secreted in my brain when I start working, cool. Like, and I will optimize for dopamine.
The problem with wanting to optimize for dopamine is you sound like a drug addict. Now, we're blessed that Alex funnels all of his energy towards being productive in business, but if something doesn't work on a small scale, it probably doesn't work at a large scale. And if society tried to optimize just for pleasure, the pleasure hormone, there would be chaos.
And if I die, I know that in 1,000 generations, nothing I do anyways is going to matter. So who cares?
Someone lied to Alex. And because of that, he could make all the money in the world and still feel the same. When you think there's no meaning in this life, and that your actions aren't going to reflect a millennia in the future, what point is there? But here's a little test. Who has affected mankind more? Alex Hormozi or his grandfather, who you don't know? It's obviously his grandfather. Not only did he produce for society, I'm sure he had multiple children. He produced Alex's father, who produced for society, and he also produced Alex, who's had a huge impact on society. I'm sure Alex is learned from men centuries dead, millennia dead. So there is a dissonance going on that is robbing him from every victory he has. But I promise you, whoever you are that's watching this video, you have purpose. You are here for a reason, and I can promise you, if you don't understand that, you are failing the test. And if you do understand that, you will have more clarity, and the actions you will start taking will give you everything that you deserve in this life.
Like that's like the opening thing in my book is like there are no rules. Like we live in this like shoulds and have tos and like happiness. Everyone talks about it, and it's just like everyone is unhappy because they say they want to be happy, rather than being like accepting like fuck happiness. Like I just am. Period. And then like I don't need to judge the am, it just is.
I consider myself a bit of a stoic, so I can appreciate saying F happiness or not wanting to search for happiness. But it's hard to live by that philosophy and also say that you want to optimize for the pleasure hormone. I want to wrap this up. You have purpose. God put you here for a reason. You can decide to accept that or not. Also, you can decide to like this video. But thanks for watching. Have a good one.
What do you say to that?
I don't know. That makes sense.
Yeah.